Let's talk about right hand placement, do's and don'ts for the classical guitar. We want to set our hands up for success, and we want to be able to make the most beautiful sounds possible. That's all this is about. So let's dive right in and figure out what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing to play really effectively. So let's talk about the right arm placement in general. We don't want to go too far down, like where the elbow is meeting the side of the guitar, because that's going to set up some other bad habits that we'll talk about in a second. So instead of right here where the elbow meets the body of the guitar, just pull it up about, 2.5, 3 inches, something like that. Everyone's body is going to be a little bit different, and the position that you're holding the guitar is also going to affect exactly how much of the arm you have on the guitar, but you definitely don't want too much arm on the guitar. Otherwise, you're going to be bending your wrist out or creating some other bad issues for yourself. The shoulder is going to drop down really low. We want our shoulders to be nice, even, and straight. So if you have a very long torso, you might have to pull the arm back even further. But essentially, all we're looking for is a straight arm. We just want the arm to be very straight, the wrist to be straight, and we want our finger placement to land right where the sound hole begins. Notice that my wrist isn't way out like this. It's not totally crooked in like that. My arm isn't way up. My shoulders are pretty even and straight. I'm not landing here, but rather right about here. And you just sort of place. If you ever get totally lost, just push your arm back and just kind of place it. We want a natural feeling for you, for your body with this crazy instrument that doesn't always feel so natural. Okay, let's talk about wrist do's and don'ts. And this is the really important part that is going to totally make or break your hand and also the way you play. I'm going to show you the 5 don'ts in a row, one after another, so you can just see them at a glance. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And don't do that. So let's take it one by one. We'll start with the first one, the Segovia wrist. So there's a reason that this playing style kind of fell out of fashion. A lot of players unfortunately developed carpal tunnel, and you can tell this just looks so unhealthy for the wrist. There is a nice tone that you can sometimes acquire, especially doing rest stroke, by having the wrist at a slightly more upward angle like this, but it also makes the tone of what you're playing a lot brighter. For instance, here I am in the sort of comfortable natural position that we want. Notice if I do the little hand tilt, I'm in the same exact place on the guitar. Here's the natural. And here it is coming upwards. You hear how much brighter that is? So it actually does affect the tone quite a bit as we go, under the string like that. We'll also be hitting a different part of the nail, kind of more the tip of the nail if we're coming up like that, versus when we hit right where the flesh meets the nail in this more natural position. So watch out for that, because that's going to really do some damage with the wrist, both on the outside and on the inside. It's also kind of a brighter, tighter sound, which sometimes can be effective, especially for a technique like tremolo. And then every now and then you can just add a little bit of texture by doing that. But more often than not, if you want a brighter sound, I really recommend you just kind of move the arm back ever so slightly to get more of a ponticello kind of brighter sound closer to the bridge, rather than relying too much on wrist twisting, because then you can just have some issues with string crossing and all kinds of other things. So that's issue number 1. Sorry, Segovia, love your playing. I still listen to your recordings all the time. So number 2, opposite of Segovia wrist, we also don't want to go way under. And that's one of the issues of the whole elbow placement thing on the body of the guitar. If you do this and come under, you'll be like way under here, and it'll feel like you're having to play upwards or something like that. So that's kind of a weird issue. You don't see that too often, but if you feel like your right arm is about to just fall right down, that's probably an issue too. So we don't want that. Next up, this is a pretty common one, especially if you're first getting started with finger picking. Right here, some people have this tendency to want to rest the hand in this position, where you're kind of collapsing this part of the wrist down. And you're just never going to get a full motion with that. It's also pretty unhealthy for your wrist. I mean, you're going to be pinching some nerves right there, and that is going to do some serious damage over time. I feel all the strain in these muscles right here just doing that, even for a second. So I don't know how some people can manage to actually play like this, but do yourself a favor and just release it. What we really want is, again, the hand is going to simply place, try to line the strings right where the flesh meets the nail on each string. Look at that. We have stability. We have support. You can do planting. You can do prep and play. You can just simply rest your hand like that. But definitely don't collapse, because you're going to have a weak sound, especially with the ring finger. It's not going to have much room to go back. And I'm seriously feeling a tingling in my forearm all the way down to my elbow just from doing that for a moment. So if you see anyone doing that, just be that person and be like, your wrist is in a bad position. No, I don't know. They won't listen to you anyway, but maybe you can send them this video and they can see why it's super uncomfortable and ineffective to play. We want to avoid this, the wrist coming out too much. We don't want too much of a bend. Sometimes we'll get a little bit of a bend just to create that space, but we definitely don't want anything obtuse, anything really, really crazy, because again, then we'll have a similar issue where we're pinching some nerves. You'll feel a ton of strain in the wrist. Just don't do anything that looks super unnatural and super weird. Just find that placement, lay your hand down naturally, and call it a day. That's really what we want out of this. Lastly, the pinky issue. Okay, so a lot of people who maybe play with a pick or something, they also feel like this need to have to place pinky down. It's like otherwise their arm is going to fly away in the abyss. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why people are so hell-bent on keeping their pinky there. We don't need it, especially if you're going to be finger picking. You absolutely don't want it, because check this out. The ring finger, the A finger, if we are doing Pima, that is going to be responsible for the melody a ton of the time. Which means that the ring finger absolutely needs to have a strong follow through every time it plucks the string. If we have pinky down like this, check this out. I can't even go very far at all with the ring finger, because that pinky is totally obstructing my ability to pull the ring finger back. So by placing your pinky finger down like that, and this totally obstructs the follow through, which makes it essentially impossible to have a long, prolonged note, prominent melody, and just a clear tone altogether. So release the pinky. What should it be doing? It should be doing what's called sympathetic movement, where it actually moves with the ring finger. So back in the day when I was an undergrad, my teacher, Cami, actually used to get a thin piece of tape around my ring finger and my pinky finger, just enough so that my pinky would start to learn how to go with the ring finger. It was super, super good. You almost want this thing to be like a flipper. Sometimes when I'm going really, really fast, I'll admit my pinky finger can go a little bit rogue still when I'm doing some really, really fast motions with the ring finger. But overall, we definitely just want pinky to be sympathetic and move with the ring finger as much as possible. It's not in the way. It's not causing a lot of strain. Some flamenco guitarists, however, do keep their pinky finger out. So you might see that, some really, really phenomenal guitarists that keep the pinky out. There was some old school methodologies that taught that. I just think, why should we introduce tension when we could just have the pinky move with the ring finger and just have it all a lot more relaxed and natural. So these were the do's and don'ts. I know it was mostly just don'ts, but those were 5 key don'ts that I think are super, super important, that honestly, if you just stop doing those things, or at least if you're aware of those things, it will improve your tone dramatically. So again, just to summarize the do's, find that sweet spot, not too low, not too high up here, just a sweet natural spot. Do maybe a little exhale. I always think you can exhale, and then just place the hand down. Where it falls, right at the beginning of the sound hole, that's your natural position. And then right where the flesh meets the nail, pull back, full motion, and that's it. That's what we want. And those are the secrets to having a healthy wrist position and being able to play in a way that's loud, prominent, and has a beautiful tone.